Hey, good morning, YouTube. Thank you for joining me on my channel. It is early this morning. It's about 7 a.m. and I am outside at this beautiful area, taking in the pleasant morning and the rise of the sun. Give thanks to the Most High, to Ra, the power. Anyway, I want to thank you for being here and sharing your energy with me and me sharing mine with you. Thank you for joining my new YouTube channel, Spiritual Align in Passion and Mind. I do have my other channel that's still up and running. It's called Spiritual Line in Yoga. And I did get someone when I first started the channel say, yoga is the exercise. Yeah. This modern day society has made it as such. It has different poses and positions and moves that could exercise your physical body. But the main origin and purpose of it is for the mental, emotional, mind, conscious, to be in meditation with spirit. All is spirit. Spirit is all. So, yeah, I may have started one or two of my videos on that channel dealing with some yoga poses, showing some yoga poses. But when I do my yoga pose, I am in meditation. And at this point, it is more in an alchemizing force. Thank the Spirit for growth in love and consciousness. Let us be conscious of our thoughts, because our thoughts bring about reality. This video I'm putting out now, this has been channeled to me a few months ago. I was down at the beach, at the Gulf Beach, and enjoying, which I'm always down at the Gulf Beach if you notice any of my shots in the video that I previously put up. I'm at the beach in the ocean. I am at water. I love the water. I love nature. I love Mother Gaia. We're all connected. We're all one. And it's all life. Every breeze carries a message of life. Every breath is the breath of life. And thank you for being here. And thank the Most High Source Creator that of His mercy and His grace to allow us to be here. This video that I'm putting out, this segment that I'm speaking about now, some people may like it and some don't, but it all has to do with spirituality and our love and respect, and recognizing when the Most High Source is working for our good. And He also takes what we feel that is wrong or not good, and He turns it in for our good. If it's not for us, it's for someone else. Because we're all His children. We're all His creation. So, as you can see, the title of my video is Demonic Disrespect and No Regard. This is what I personally experienced in my spiritual walk today, lately. So, yeah, I was down at the Gulf Beach, just relaxing and enjoying myself in spirit, you know, enjoying the fact of seeing many people in their energy and their spirit of relaxing Everyone has free will, as you know. God has given that to us. We have the free will to do, or we don't. Or we won't, or we will. Anyway, demonic disrespect and no regard for no regard for anyone else's space. And I know y'all have heard people ask you at some point in time to, get out of their space or give them their space. Many of you don't even understand what you're saying. You've heard it said before, and you've heard actions that it caused from the same. But what you're saying, we all have an energy field, auric space around us. We all have that around us. Some are tuned into their energy auric field, some are not. Those who are walking in the spirit, who know that all is spirit, and all these other things are just illusions of matter, they are aware. And thank the Most High for that, because it's all love. But no regard for anyone else's space. Then when they get no response or acknowledgement of their antics and blatant invasion of others' life space, then they start to disappear or scatter to only create more inhuman acts and watch you as they initiate the tactics in trying to solicit a negative response from a divine chosen one at peace and in positivity. So this video is basically speaking about at a period of time I was down at the beach, and I was in meditation in my space, actually sitting in my vehicle, parked, and everyone else parked along with me, But at that point in time, it didn't seem like these individuals considered the fact that, it's almost like they were not really considerate of the fact that I was sitting there and just relaxing and enjoying myself. I think it was more all about them and them to be seen and heard. Life isn't always about that. Be careful how you present yourself around other people, especially when you're not really walking spiritually in the Most High Source, Creator's love, and being compassionate, considerate, or empathize with anyone else. We all like attention. We all like to be seen. Not all of us, but some of us do. But anyway, these people were doing that, trying to initiate, while they're initiating their tactics and trying to just solicit a negative response from me, Divine Chosen One, at peace and in positivity. Well, these demons, which is what I see, There were people, but we have in the spiritual eye, looking spiritually, walking spiritually, living spiritually, all is spirit. And it comes in any form, shape, or fashion. These demons I speak about are the orange and brown race, who are very uncivilized and a true sense of arrogance and ignorance of what they do not know, and put together and rolled in a flour tortilla to fry and bake. This happened on May the 3rd of this year, 2025, while I'm in my own world and vehicle space, letting all the outside world swirl around, having fun, deal with being here and there on the Gulf Beach area from the seawall east, the east seawall, not too far from the pleasure pier that was in view. That was in view just far down. While this little, I call it Deseco, this little guy, this little Spanish guy and his two little Spanish females that were with him, his crew, they kept constantly crossing the line of this my space and vicinity and the time. Not once, they didn't do it once. They just crossed in front of the car. They crossed by the door that I was sitting on the driver's side. I had the windows down. And they stood there and they spoke and they were talking. And they, as if they were acknowledging the fact that no one else is there. They don't care if someone else is there. They gonna do what they do and be who they are. So they did it once. I just let it go because they had just arrived. So, you know, who knows? I'm always sitting and observing and meditating and praying and staying in the spirit, trying to keep my conscience positive and sure. You know, so as I said, they did it, but it was not once, but twice. And then on the third time, jumping all the way too close to my vortex of me. What they did is they crossed in front of the car, and on the driver's side where I was sitting, of course I'm the only one in the car, and the windows are down. They crossed in front of the car. Now their car is already parked a space over, a whole space over, because there was this empty space that no one had parked yet. Well, nobody could park because they got out of their car and they took over that space. Then they came over by my car and they kept walking in front. And I thought maybe, okay, there's a palm tree right in front of me, right in front of the driver's side of my vehicle. That's giving shade. Maybe they are enjoying the shade or being under the palm tree, which is a very slim palm tree, but yet it would give a little shade. No, they just chose to do what they did. I don't know. And then at the third or fourth time, they jumped all the way too close in my vortex of time. Which they did, they crossed, the females crossed right in front of the driver's side of my vehicle. One walked right up and stood right next to me while I'm sitting in the driver's seat, and turned her back and stand there, was talking. I didn't say a word. They forgetting the real reason God let the forces to be to put out COVID-19. Then humanity see how every individual needs their 6 feet away, stay 6 feet away space to consciously create the awareness and the breath easily caused people not knowing if you have the airborne virus actively in bloom or if it's living dormant, just waiting to strike soon. The purpose of COVID-19 was individuals to learn that everyone who's living, moving, and walking and breathing is allowed their space. No matter who you are, man, woman, boy, a child, animals even, they're allowed their space. That's a life space. That's their energy space. That's cosmic space. That's your frequency that you have. It's God. You are God's spark. You're God's light. Whether you see it that way or not, we're all created by one creator. Okay, so COVID-19 basically brought about to the humanity, to the whole humanity, to see how every individual needs their 6 feet stay away space so they can consciously create the awareness and breathe easily, because you don't know if there were people who have the airborne virus actively in bloom or if it's lying dormant, just waiting to strike soon. But my experience in my walking and my knowing, even in my surrounding space, I say the brown, the orange and brown Spanish Z generation they didn't experience much of the COVID-19 effects. It was almost 7, 8, 9 years ago, 8 years ago. The orange and brown Spanish Z generation didn't experience much of the COVID-19 effects to leave a respectful impact, because to them, the 6 feet space, that don't take place with them. I experienced many times, even during the COVID, to ask people to please the 6 feet. And it was many of those, many of the Hispanic people, the immigrants, some had even been here for years. But asking them 6 feet space. I understand we're in a shopping place or we're in a grocery store, but don't forget about the 6 feet limitation. Some of them even got upset at people who were upholding the 6 feet, like they wasn't moving up close enough, or they wouldn't move fast enough, or it was still They found some way to be blatantly arrogant and disrespectful. And then they shout, I now speak no English. Or they look like, I don't understand what you're saying. Or they dismiss the fact of their actions and yours more of a disrespect to them. I'm not being prejudiced and I'm not being racist. So whatever you want to say, whatever you want to believe, I know what I've actually experienced and seen. And this is what I channel, and I'll speak about it plain and clean. I ain't said I hate anyone, and I'll never will. I ain't said I didn't love anybody, that I all do. I'm speaking about what is plain and clear. And no disrespect, as Sister Soldier says. No disrespect. Like I say, there is demonic disrespect with no regard for anyone else's space. As I was saying, but the orange and brown Spanish Z generation didn't experience much of the COVID-19 effects. The Z generation, the younger generation, these younger 18, 19, 15, 16, 11, 12, 13-year-old, these Z generation, the next generation, the ones that are supposed to help us with the future, let us stay in meditation and prayer. Anyway, the 19 effects, they did experience the COVID-19 effects to leave a respectful impact, because to them the 6 feet space and quarantine in the house was a life hack. Walking around in white ankle calf socks, eating Takis super hot, jumping on the trampoline up and down with the orange or raspberry blue soda pop, wearing pajama bottoms and tops out in the mainstream public grocery stores and malls in white calf length socks and ridiculous looking Crocs. Now, it's not only the orange and brown, because see, whoever started this, leaving out of your house or being out in public and most esteemed places, even in churches, in front of everyone's faces, you wear your pajama bottoms and tops. You have commercials soliciting that college students should walk around and should purchase pajamas for their attire. It's not all the orange and brown immigrants. Many of us, that generation, I don't understand. Why would you want to walk around in garments that are made for your retire or being in your home? It wasn't just the young one generation. It seems everyone did it and all. Everyone did it and all. I didn't see a reason to. I remember when my daughter, which is my youngest child right now, she's at the age of 35. But when she was 7 years old. Yeah, 7, 8 years old, and she ran late for school. I was just getting up, rousing around, trying to help her get out. So I'm in my pajamas. They are full pajamas, silk pajamas, walking around the house, doing breakfast, making sure everyone has what they need. And she ran late. She hid back in the room. I thought she had already left to catch the bus at the corner, but she hid back in the room. She said, "Mom, I'm late for school." I said, "Oh, no, you can't be late for school." So I immediately rush her in the car, and I go in my pajamas, and I take her to school. But I leave from my house in my car, drive her to school, stay in my car. She gets there in time where the bell is just ringing for every child to go in. And I got back to my house and get back out of my car. And you know what day that was and what morning that was. It was 7 a.m. in the morning here in the state of Texas. Much earlier in the state of New York. That exact morning that I did that, and I felt so uneasy about leaving the house in my pajamas that I was wearing to take her to school, but my mission was accomplished on time and to help her feel better about her day. That exact morning was in September the 11th, 2001, the day the Twin Towers were hit, the morning the Twin Towers were hit. When I stepped back in the door with my pajamas on, my front door, the television was on. All I seen was, it looked like a toy plane, someone flying a toy plane that hit the building, and the smoke began. And I just said to myself, what is that? What is going on? I realized it was in New York. I said, oh, that's New York, the Twin Tower. Somebody hit the building with their plane. Those poor people on the plane, they died. They hit that big building. And then I seen the smoke. Then just as I was saying about begin to pray about the people on the plane and crash, there's another plane show up on the screen, and it hits the building, and it's a little lower than the first plane that hit. And I said, is somebody pulling a joke? Why are these planes flying into this building like that? I had no idea what I was looking at. So I just said, oh, I don't know what's going on in New York. So I said, oh, they said Manhattan. Okay, it's in Manhattan where the Twin Towers are. And then I walked off from the TV. And as I made it to the back bedroom to begin to get myself together to go to begin my day, the phone rang. And the phone rang. I picked it up, and it was the school that I just dropped my daughter off like 30 minutes ago. I just dropped her off and got back to the house. And they said, Miss G, I don't know, I'm sure you heard about the tragedy just happened in New York. I said, explain. She said, the tower's being hit by the plane. And I said, oh, like that. I said, oh, you mean what I was watching on television was real? She said, you actually seen it? I said, yeah, as soon as I dropped my daughter Chandra off, I came back in the house and it was showing on the television. I stood and watched, but I thought it was someone playing. But I knew it was a plane, so I was thinking about the people on the plane, how they crashed. They said, oh, it's a huge tragedy. You should watch it. It's still on. But they were saying if any parents want to come pick the children up from school, because everyone's affected by the tragedy that has happened, and nobody's focused on school right now. The president has even issued that everyone, go into prayer. I said, of course, sure I will. And I hung the phone up, and I remember feeling as if, what's going on? And all I said was, Lord, what is going on now? And I hurried to get my daughter and my son from the school that they were attending. And I checked on my middle son, which was in high school at the time, his first year in high school. And he made it home. And my daughter, she's very emotional. She's a Pisces, so she has a very emotional heart. She's just crying, Mom. They was telling us what went on, what happened. I let them watch the replay of the news and everything on TV. And I told her, I said, I stood there and watched everything happen while the planes were hitting the building on TV. When I dropped you off, I came back here to the house. And I watched it, and I thought it was someone playing or it was a joke. I didn't realize what the devastation was until your school called and said that you guys parents need to come get their children or things like that, and spend time, together. And I think that is great. That's good. But anyway, to say that was the one time that I felt very uncomfortable leaving my home in my pajamas to just take my daughter to school, which was 10 minutes away, which was 5 minutes away. It took me 5 minutes to get back there. So I have not, even in the period of these pajama wearing, which some people still do now. I think it's a cause and effect of being lazy, not caring about yourself. But many of the young people who, not all of them, but many of them thought that this was like a life hack, walking around in white ankle socks, eating Takis super hot, jumping on a trampoline up and down with the orange soda pop or a blueberry, wearing pajama bottoms and top out in the mainstream public, grocery stores, malls, businesses, in white calf-length socks and ridiculous looking Crocs. I personally, I don't care for Crocs. Many of the nurses in the field, I have worked in the medical field, as well as the hair industry, have my own business, my own small business, a hair salon for over 5 to 6 years, and I've never preferred Crocs to wear them. I didn't see a reason to even purchase them for my children, which they can tell you I've never purchased them any Crocs. Even my grandkids, I have never purchased them any Crocs. They had a Crocs. I'm like, okay, that's what you want to wear. But if they're with me and I feel like they can wear something better, a nice pair of tennis shoes or, flat wear better than the Crocs, I'd ask them to do so with me, and they would, respectfully. But yeah, I will not be purchasing any Crocs. Nothing against the Crocs and who all likes them and enjoy them a lot. Some people who have medical issues walking and standing seem to find that they are helpful. I haven't heard any word from any doctor that suggests that. And just in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I learned that the Nike has sided with the Crocs. They in partnership now with Crocs, so they have some Nike Crocs out. I've seen a couple of people wearing them. I still have no desire to purchase any or to have any. And actually, the 2 times that I've seen the people wearing them, I really thought that looked very ridiculous. It does get you noticed if that's what you're trying to do, if you're trying to stand out. But it looked really ridiculous to me to spend that much money for such a thing. Wearing the pajamas and the Crocs and the socks and walking around as if you're just in places out in the open. It's almost like you lost all morality of dressing properly in clothing and attire to be essentially admired, respected, or being a person who loves themselves. And cherish themselves and have self-worth of their unique creativity to stand up and to stand out of the algorithm that everyone is participating in, and be different, to not mimic the crowd and get out of the 3-dimensional social box, trapped to be sucked down the vortex, just spinning and spinning around, never clearing generational karma that has been lingering through time. My dear beautiful people, brown and orange, brown and black, stop overstepping other individuals' boundaries. Understand, respect is given where respect is due. Stop hoarding around free places like many of the roaches with no clue. Because that's what roaches do. They hoard around places with no clue. Wet where there's wet. With no clue or purpose to let love rule. That's the thing. Love rules. Divine human relationship. Respect is due, is given where respect is due. So I've talked for a while on this YouTube channel today, on this beautiful morning in the greenery scene that I display. Thank you for listening. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing and acceptable unto thee, O Lord, God and my Redeemer. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for listening. And I'm wishing everyone, not just today, on this video that I say, all the time in my conscious mind, in my meditation, as I continually, spiritually pray. Wishing everyone peace, love, and the light of life in Christ conscious living. Christ lived in this life that's different than how we see a thing. Again, I want to say no disrespect to any of the Spanish or Latino people. And I ask you to please be in the same consideration as we're all. This has been my experience, not just once, many times. And it was showing so blatantly in COVID. There were some people, they was not actually from Mexico. I could tell by the speaking of their Latin language. They may have been from somewhere else, like Venezuela or Cuba. But the lady, it was the 6 feet, and it was kind of cool. I was wearing a long length, it's called a duster. It's a long sweater. And as I have this one attachment here on this that I'm wearing now, I had a one leather strap attachment. I purchased it from Victoria's Secret catalog. Actually, it was, at that point, it was maybe 3 or 4 years old. But it was a nice sweater. I could wear it in the early fall as it starts to get cool, or in the later winter with longer sleeves or a turtleneck, and I would stay warm. I was standing in a line in, I believe it was, I would have to say Walmart store. I was out in Florida. And I just came from worship service out in Florida, I believe. And I was standing in line. This lady, they were not of total Mexico. It had to be from Venezuela or some other country, Colombia or something like that. Her and 3 gentlemen were standing behind. And one of the gentlemen kept moving up to where I was. And I would look at him, and then I'd just go on and stand and wait. Then she came up and moved next to me as the same. And I said, hey, do y'all, you realize they still have the 6 feet space? It's great you guys are enjoying your company, but there is still a 6 feet space. And you're keep coming up here next to me. I don't know why. So the lady says, it's because you are beautiful. You have a beautiful back. I said, excuse me? She says, your back is beautiful. At the minute, I didn't really understand what she was saying other than my back is beautiful. And she went and she raised her hand and she actually touched my bottom part, my butt. She put her hand in the crest of my back and my butt. she put her hand. I didn't say she just touched and took her hand off. She rested her hand on the back of my butt and my crust. And I immediately turned around and reprimanded her and rebuked her. Why would you touch someone you don't know? You don't know me, ma'am. You don't know what I would do. She said she was laughing. The two gentlemen she was with began to laugh. Then one stopped laughing and he realized how serious I was. I said, you have done 3 things in violation of my rights in this exact moment. Whether you realize it or not, I don't care what country you're from right now. And I would suggest that you don't do anything else. But touching me was the last straw. And why would you touch me on my butt? She goes, oh, I didn't know if it was real. I said, that doesn't give you the right to touch me. Why would you put your hands on my body? I said, I will call and have you arrested right now, because that is a violation. Don't you ever touch me again. And everything about me is real, natural, and a gift, and the grace of God, and by the grace of God, it's a gift to me, not you. And you shouldn't be worried about me. Worry about you. Don't ever touch me again. I tried to be polite for her because we were in a public place, but the other people who realized what had happened, the other Spanish people who realized what had happened, were trying to explain to her how she was wrong. I said it was very wrong. It took all that was inside of my spirit, my God-given spirit, to not physically or legally do something to this lady. Because even after me speaking with her and she realized I was serious about not touching my body, she didn't seem to be worried, which may be how they are in the country that she's from or where she's lived and grown. This was not a young woman. This woman was probably in her 40s. Her 40s or 50. And I was around, I was in my 50s too. It's about 10 years ago. Yeah. A little over 10 years ago. But she touched me, and it was in the COVID. It was in the heat of the COVID thing. And I had to actually remove my mask so she could actually see the expression on my face, so she can understand that I'm serious about how she's offended me on touching my body. I could see if it was one of those men, but this was the female that was with them. And she said she wanted to know if my bottom part was real. And I said, well, you went about the wrong way to try to know whether my bottom part is real. You obviously don't know who you're messing with. When she realized I was not of any Latin descent, that's when she got serious. She seriously stopped laughing and seriously started listening to me. She noticed that she realized I was not of a Latin descent. So, that's what I'm saying. You know, people of orange and brown and caramel skin tone, of Latin and Hispanic and Cuban race, please, respect is due. Where respect is given. And that's with any human being on this planet Earth. But we thank you, Lord, the Most High for being here this day and guiding me and directing me in that I speak and say. We ask that you show us the wisdom and the clarity and the truth that needs to be given, and hope that it inspires everyone who hears the sound of my voice. Thank you for being here with me. And again, have a blessed rest of your day. Peace out.